Hello and welcome. You are listening to the Gay with God podcast, a safe place for us to share our stories and support one another. How long did we know? What challenges did we face? Did we lose our faith? When did we find our way back home? Or are we still searching? The stories you hear on this podcast will melt your heart and strengthen your belief that in God, all things are possible, and you can be authentically gay with the God of your understanding. I am your host, Midge Noble, and I am very honored that you are here. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Gay with God podcast. I'm so glad that you're here and spending time with me this morning. I appreciate you so very, very much, as you know, I'm sure. So today we're going to talk about connections, and I just got back from the Wild Goose Festival that I've talked to you about forever, it seems like, but I just got back and I had such a wonderful time, absolutely wonderful time. It was blistering hot. It was so hot. I was so grateful that my wife encouraged me to do a hotel at nighttime so that I could get some relief, so that I could get a good night's sleep. And that I had to come back early to meet with the bishop anyway on a Sunday, so I didn't want to go through all the hassle of breaking down camp early and trying to get out of there. I was also able to do a book signing for the Gay with God memoir, and that went well, and I'm so happy to be able to represent our community among a whole lot of diverse people. But you and I both know that even if I go to a big spiritual place, sometimes being gay and Christian are still not coinciding with people's understanding of what we can be. And so being able to make connections at a festival where the pride flags were all over the place, it's such an open and inclusive area. It's just wonderful. There's social justice, there's great music, there's tarot readings, there's you can find so many wonderfully diverse and exciting things at the Goose. So anyway, I'm just so glad that I went. I'm glad that I was able to connect with people. Connections are vital to our existence. We are not created to be on an island. We've heard that forever. And some people love secluding themselves, keeping the blinds drawn, staying away from people. It really is hard for them to be among a lot of energy and taking in energy. And so some people need to isolate and need to build up in order to, build up their own energy in order to sustain a social event. For some people, the Wild Goose with all the people that were there would have just been painful and horrible, and they would never consider doing it. So for people who identify as introverts and may have social anxiety, being alone is not a problem. They feel safer that way. And yet I'm concerned for people who may not have enough connection when they're feeling depressed and they're feeling social anxiety or introverted, because connection is where we can bind together and create change and have solace when we're feeling that no one's listening and no one's there for us. So I'm hoping and praying for folks that really don't like to be connected to others, have their own personal way of staying emotionally healthy, and if they do need help, a way that they can break out of the isolation that feels safe and be able to reach out to people if they are in fact in need. The power of being together and having connections that can move us forward. Examples of that are, for me, is the Pink Hat Rally. Back in the day, I mean, oh my goodness, how many people showed up with their, pink little furry ear hats, and that was just a massive movement that was liberating and energizing, and had a statement, had a huge statement that these women, all of these women, had a single voice that day when they marched in their pink hats. You know, Pride rallies are a connection where we all come together. We have a single moment of time where we can be seen, we can be heard, and we can support each other. A pride rally of one is not as powerful as a pride rally of more than one. And so you see my point that connections bring us not only emotional support, but connections can also be a powerful change agent, that we show up because we have this single voice, whatever it is. Isolation stops us from having that much powerful visual reaction to people. Yes, we can do letter writing. Yes, we can call our Congress, and yes, we can talk to our representatives, but having that visual impact of, tons of people chanting the same thing, tons of people showing up, chanting their need to have something changed and what they want it to be changed into. The other thing that I thought about is that as I'm leaning into the lay preaching and I'm doing different sermons, connections were very important to Jesus. Connections were throughout his whole theme, that he created a band of people. He called 12 disciples. He had lots of followers. He included Mary Magdalene in this group of wayward boys. I should say men. Um, and she was an amazing leader to them. She was kind of like the glue that held things together. And the more I learn about Mary Magdalene is that she was extremely close to Jesus and was very interested in learning from her rabbi, her Rabboni, what she needed to do to continue to grow spiritually and to become as Jesus-like as she could. She was integral in the life of those 12 disciples and with Jesus. And that group, that connected group, changed the world because they were able to have a voice. They spoke out. And yet, when they were sent out to do the work, they were sent two by two. Nobody went alone. And aloneness really does cripple the voice that we may have. And I'm not saying you can't be a single, person going out and speaking at places and have an impact. But yet, when you have someone else that supports you in that, when you have someone who travels with you that, supports you in setup or supports you in, tech or whatever it is, when you go out with a team, even if it's a team of two, when you have down days, when you run into problems, two brains troubleshooting are better than one. So it's those connections, whether you travel with someone or you have someone on speed dial that you call, a connection is a connection. You can zoom in and have them see something that you're trying to figure out this connection on the back of a audio equipment, and you can take a picture or you can zoom in and they can walk you through it. We are so used to trying to solve our own problems, I think, that we forget that being connected when we're having problems, when we're having adversity, is something that we all deserve. We deserve to walk with others instead of trying to trailblaze by ourselves and getting tired and getting burned out. It's important to remember that we are not alone. We really are not alone. At the Goose this year, there were so many people that I couldn't wait to connect with again. It was funny that the whole theme this year was connections, but that's really what it is every year, is that people come back every single year, and those connections that we've made in the past are sweet little balms of uplifting spirit when we reconnect again. One experience that I had that I didn't expect, really, but there is a person that I've connected with over the years that I've gone there. Her name is Jess, and she is the sweetest soul, and she takes really good care of the campers that she's in charge of. And what I mean by that is there's a special section at the Goose for people who have mobility issues, or they're on CPAP machines and they need to make sure that they have good electrical connections, or whatever they need that may be more intensive than just camping by yourself. Jess is there to take care of us. And so um this year, I was not staying in the ADA section. I was actually visiting during the day there with my group of people who stay there. But I was, of course, like I said before, in a hotel. And she was disappointed that I wouldn't be camping with them necessarily, but she was looking forward to seeing me. Well, on the day that I arrived, I got out of the truck and I was heading over to the campsite of my friends, and she was coming on the shuttle that she runs, and she saw me and she slammed on the brakes. She got out, ran across the field, and embraced me in the best healing hug. Oh my gosh, I can't tell you how wonderful it felt to hug her and to be hugged by her and to have that enthusiasm. That connection has gotten stronger each year that I've been there. And this year, it's like the God winks between Jess and I just continued. We didn't know where each other was during the day because she was doing her job. I was podcasting or showing up on someone else's podcast, or just, going to different booths and stuff and learning different things. But it was so amazing that in a moment of just walking past, I would look over and there she'd be. And there were different times during those moments that either I needed something from her or she needed something from me, and it was the perfect moment. I call it God winks. It was the perfect time for me to walk past there, or it was the perfect time for her to see me. It's just amazing how, when you open yourself up to allow God and the Holy Spirit to move through you and in you, you will be in the right place at the right time. And I'm not saying it's all butterflies, rainbows, and nice all the time. There might be a time that you're going to learn a lesson in one of those situations. It might be a time where you're going to go through a test in order to continue to grow in your faith. Um, so, and I've had those moments too, of course. But connecting with people, knowing someone's name, knowing who they are to you is beautiful. And I think it's actually something that was created for us, that we will find each other, we'll be able to open ourselves up to say, lead me, where do I need to go today to make an impact? You may have errands to run, you may have different people on your schedule, but when you stay open to connections and you say, hey, God, I've got all these things that I'm doing today, but if someone needs me, I am open. I'm willing to connect with someone who needs me. It might be by phone, it might be at a gas station, it might be at a meeting you're attending. It's just this moment of connection. Yesterday, I was at church, and I turned around, and one of the ladies, she and her husband are so sweet and have been so supportive to me, and she has the best smile in the world. She just, her whole face lights up when she smiles at you, and I just feel all validated and warm inside. And yesterday, she was, I turned around and she was there, and her face lit up and she smiled at me, and I said, I just love your smile, and every time you smile at me, you make me feel so important and so good about myself. And her eyes teared up, and she said, through some broken speech, you have no idea how happy that makes me. So she also is open to being there for each other, and I validated for her, apparently, that something like a smile can make somebody else feel important and feel seen. And that's what she apparently would love to be, and didn't maybe know that she was that for other people. So a connection where you can validate for another person that whatever they're saying or doing, if it's affecting you in a positive way, gosh, that's great information for someone who may think that they don't offer anything in the world. I mean, when she teared up so quickly, I felt a little sad that she wouldn't know how valuable she was, how much her kindness means, how much her intentional way of smiling at a person could make or break a day for that person. So when we think about how we can be used by God, being gay with the God of your understanding means that we're a part of a group already. We are just already in a family of people who sometimes do things differently, sometimes have different beliefs within that community, but we are a beloved community, and supporting each other through everything that we go through and being there for each other is so important. And being at a church that's inclusive and being able to continue to move toward more inclusivity, more openness, more transparency about who's allowed in and who's going to stay out is really important, because you can be an inclusive church and still not feel welcoming to someone else who is looking at your website. And that's the struggle that we're having with our church right now, is how to make our website more welcoming with pictures that we post, with where people can see themselves in our community. Because if somebody, and I'll take myself for example, if I looked at the website and I didn't see anything about LGBTQIA plus, I wouldn't know that I'd be welcomed. So being able to post pictures of the Pride Mass, post pictures of things that we're doing that are open and affirming is vital to letting other people know that we are open and affirming. We can say it, but if there's nothing that depicts that, same thing if a person of color looks at our website, we do not have a large cultural diversity in our church. We're in a small community, and our church, the Episcopal Church, doesn't get a lot of traffic of new people because we're not on the main drag of the town. We're, an older community, and we're looking at ways that we can, be more visible, be more aware of how we look, not only on the website, but how we would look if somebody walked into our congregation and didn't identify themselves in the pews. And some of those things you just can't change. I mean, I may not feel comfortable going to someone else's church because they may do things differently than me. And the Episcopals do have a specific liturgy that's not for everybody. I find it healing and sacred and very reverent. It's not for everybody, but boy, have I been free to explore me. And I just absolutely love the environment of being able to be outwardly gay, although I know not everybody in my church approves of that. And that's something that I'm working through, because I never thought I would go to a church again that had one single person that didn't want me there. And I don't think it's that they don't want me there, but I don't think that some of the older folks really understand, and they don't have the energy to change or explore. So when we're talking about creating change in a church to make it more open and inclusive and be able to be a safe haven for people, we really want to be able to figure out how that would look and how we could manage it and do it with intention. So I hope that you are in a community. And if you're not, I want you to understand that this podcast is a community. We have a group called Gay with God on Facebook. And so we continue conversations in a faith journey group that I run through the Gay with God Facebook page. So if you are by yourself, if you struggle to go in person with people to find connection, please go to Facebook and go to the Gay with God Facebook page and answer all the questions, because I want this to be a safe community. And in order to make it safe, I ask specific questions to be able to know who you are and how you're going to relate to us in the group. And that's for my group's safety. And I want you to be safe when you come to our group. So when we all answer all the questions and we agree to those questions, then we're on the same page, even if we have different opinions once we're in there. But, we're all on the same page and we can still have discussions about things that we may not always agree on, but at least we start out on the same page. The other thing I want to remind you of is if you're struggling, especially during this political brouhaha that is getting uglier and uglier and also um, so harmful to our community with Project 2025. If you haven't looked it up yet, please Google Project 2025 or you see Agenda 47. That's how I think they're trying to rebrand Project 2025 is Agenda 47. So start doing your research. You can get memes online, but some of them are not accurate, but you can download the Project 2025 book. It's a lot of pages, but you can go to special sections that apply to you specifically, like do you still want your Social Security? Do you still want your gay marriage? There are things in there that will tell you what they're going to be doing to marginalized communities, what they're going to be doing to everything between banning books and taking away women's rights and taking away gay rights and taking away Social Security and messing with that. So there's a lot of information and we need to be aware of it. So tonight I'm going to be interviewing Karen from Defense of Democracy, and she is one of our huge allies. Defense of Democracy is an online group that does on the ground things. So they organize through all the different states, and which is amazing. I don't know if they're nationwide exactly, but I know they cover a whole lot of states, and they are specifically there to make sure that there is inclusion in schools and for our children. They want to stop the banning of books. They also are working on making sure that our trans kids are safe to go into bathrooms and that there's appropriate law. So a lot of these folks are getting onto school boards. They go to the meetings for the city council. They do rallies. They do a lot of cool stuff. And Karen's going to be on the show. I'm going to tape her tonight, and it will air next Monday. So be watching for that on Monday, the 22nd, because she's going to have a lot to say. She's a wonderful ally. She's a mom of LGBTQI plus kids, and so she's a wonderful, wonderful ally, and she's putting her allyship to work through Defense of Democracy. You can go ahead and look that up if you want to, and then be ready for her to talk more about that when I post it next Monday. So anyway, good things happening, and we need to remember that in the bleakness of these times that we're in, and the tests that we're going through, to stay faithful, to stay connected, to not isolate to the point where we do not have support. Find your support either online, find your support through people that are around you, find support at a inclusive church. Just make sure that you check ahead, just don't sit down on the pew. Please call ahead, ask specific questions so that you'll know what you're walking into. You know that I love you. You know that I am so grateful for your support, and I thank you so much for showing up today. I look forward to seeing you again, even though we don't see each other yet. I'm still trying to figure out if I want to do live videos, but anyway, for now, I just love the fact that you spend time with me online. Remember to check out the Facebook group Gay with God, where we do the monthly group entitled My Faith Journey. We have one tonight, by the way. So if you come in super late and across my feed, I need some time. I've got the taping this afternoon, so I would need time to see that you actually asked to join the group and to get you in. But that group is at 6:30 every month on a Monday. And I can't wait to meet with my peeps tonight. I always love that group, and we always have really cool things to talk about. So that's the Gay with God Facebook group, and you can join in with our monthly My Faith Journey. Remember that my memoir is still available for you to purchase, Gay with God, Reclaiming My Faith, Honoring My Story, And I'm starting another Gay with God book club in the fall. So if you have read the book or you want to get the book and read the chapters as we say, well, next week we'll talk about these chapters. I will be in the group to answer any behind the scenes questions that you may have after reading the book. You may want to ask a little bit more about something. You may want to ask me a specific question. So I'm available for that. The first group really, really asked great behind the scenes questions, some that I even blushed at a little bit. And so please feel free to get a copy of the book and email me and let me know at empoweredmidge@gmail.com that you'd like to be in the group so that I will have your email to give you the Zoom link. I am also available to come to your church or your group or your book club if you're close. I mean, I can't, drive hundreds of miles, but if you're close and you want to have me as a guest at your book club to go over some of the questions or to ask some things, I'm available to do that if it's somewhat local. And I'm also available to do speaking engagements if you want me to come to whatever group that you have. If you are listening to this podcast and are questioning whether you can be gay and be in a relationship with the God of your understanding, if you identify as LGBTQIA+, or not even sure if you are gay, God has always been within you. Even when you didn't know it, you have always been gay with God. Thank you, everybody. Stay tuned to see how you can join the Gay with God community. And as always, you are loved. I want to invite you to become a part of the Gay with God community. How can you do that? Stay connected by messaging me your thoughts and comments in the comment section under the downloads of the show on the Gay with God show page. Subscribe to this podcast wherever you listen and share so we can increase our community outreach and be a light to those who are struggling to claim their faith. Consider being a sponsor so I can highlight your service in our community. We are all worthy of respect and a relationship with the God of our understanding. I want to thank you in advance for supporting this podcast. Together, we as a community will keep this show visible and our community stronger. Deep gratitude to my friend Tim McClendon of Tim McClendon Music for allowing me to use an excerpt from Interlude 4, a song found on his CD entitled Sundance.